Shout to Mobamba.
What's up everyone, it's Adam from FWCI and WWE 2K22 Ringside Report gameplay deep dive is about to go live, so I'm going to have a look at this one and yeah, finally we get some gameplay. I've been keen as for this. I've been very critical of how 2K is rolling this game out. We've heard some things about GM mode that are a little bit concerning, so cautiously optimistic is still the mind frame. And by the way, for those that don't know what I mean by that, cautiously optimistic means I hope it's good, but I'm just going to be a little bit careful about getting my hopes up. In regards to who do I want to see in this gameplay, give me Santino. I think you can see him over there with the honkometer, my crude honkometer that I made. Give me Santino with the honkometer versus Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed going to be in the game? Yeah, see, I don't know how I feel about that. That kind of bugs me. Brandon, BDE, which I enjoy his content. I think he's very likable. He's already got a reaction to this gameplay out, so obviously 2K gave him a bit of a heads up. I don't know how I feel about that. I think people got to be wary when, you know, personalities and, you know, people that have YouTube channels and stuff start really getting involved with companies like 2K. For the record, I have been sitting here for about 5 minutes waiting for this to start. Alright, here we go. Bit of gameplay. It looks like it was, and again, I've already seen on Twitter, it looks like it was Damian Priest versus Rey Mysterio, I believe, by the looks of things. Let's see what we got.
Welcome to the inaugural episode of Ringside Report, brought to y'all by the teams at 2K.
Inaugural episode?
We're here to provide regular updates and deep dives into the many areas and features of WWE 2K22.
And this year we're introducing the WWE 2K22 Ringside Reports, and you'll hear from Lionel and myself beginning now, through the game's launch in March, and after for the latest on DLC, patches, and other updates. And we're not going to be taking this ride alone, because we're bringing the homies from the dev team with us. So
come on, bring them on, bring them on.
The homies from the dev team, huh? It's weird how, like, I don't know, like, hip they're trying to be with this whole thing.
This is the best looking game yet. Just
it's pretty. It's so pretty.
Lionel, can you talk about how...
It should be pretty. It's the first next-gen PS5 era wrestling game. It should look better than all the other ones that came before it.
Any WWE game are the backbone of the game, right? And so we have to make sure
we get a lot of look at stuff on here.
On representing every superstar to the best of our abilities.
Undertaker beard looked
piggybacked
rough
on the same technology that you guys saw in NBA 2K22, where you look at their players and the details.
Booker doesn't look that great.
Look amazing, and so
others have. Asuka looked fantastic
and brought that into WWE 2K22, like the cross-polarization scans, improved hair. Just to me, the amazing amount of detail that you'll see in our superstars is unparalleled for us.
That hair still looked tough. I'm sure that's very hard to program, but yeah.
Yeah, so, lighting is everything, right? So, like, all of these details and everything that we...
Cesaro looks good. Damian Priest looked like a mannequin. Drew Gulak didn't look good. Sheamus looks great. AJ looks great. Seems like it's a very mixed bag. I don't know. Some of the facial hair. Ooh, okay. That weapon looked awesome. Very
and before reflective. I forget, there was also a ton of new and improved championships as well. And one of my personal favorites, mainly because it's the team I work with most closely, is the environments team. There are over 55 playable arenas, and we also have virtual crowd boards in the game as well, so you might see some familiar faces.
Wow, that's the Thunderdome.
Not my ugly mug.
Is anybody really dying to play in that? I guess if you want to recreate moments, sure, but I'd rather just forget the Thunderdome ever existed.
So, y'all.
This is a little bit of a nitpick, but it always bugs me when I watch people doing these and they have like a really shitty background. Like, do something cool with your background. Like, I don't know. Is a bland background desirable? Is that what's going on? Because I'd rather see like a couple of things, like even a couple of pictures on the wall, a couple of figgies, Santino Marella.
So at this point, one of the things we very intentionally called out to our fan base is that we have a redesigned gameplay experience. And starting with Jason, can you talk about what that means to you and how gameplay hits different?
In WWE 2K22, we have a completely new animation system.
I thought the reversal meter was taken out.
In the feel of the characters. Basically, everything from the way the characters move and they traverse through the world, to how they align with each other during attacks has been completely overhauled and redone. Players are going to notice a significant difference the moment they pick up the controller. The characters are way more responsive than they've ever been. You no longer feel like you're fighting to control your character, get them into position to do what you want them to do. Strikes, dives, springboards, they all connect more precisely. And that's also something that we really struggled with and took to heart and tried to resolve this year.
So I think that's like momentum.
Another key change that we've made
meters,
to the game engine this year is our physics system. While the series has always had Havoc to some degree, it was primarily used for only hair and block simulation. For 2K22, we've completely integrated Havoc into gameplay, which has allowed us to introduce things like breakable props.
Can this dude get a better microphone? Jesus Christ.
They break more dynamic.
Okay, new kick-out meter.
And even elements within the environment itself are now dynamically breaking, such as like the corner barricade, instead of relying on a canned sequence animation. It's a really big change and has helped to make the entire gameplay experience feel more dynamic.
Awesome.
What happened there?
Derek.
Instead of relying on a canned sequence animation.
What happened with Damian Priest's feet when he tried to do that moonsault?
The entire gameplay experience feel more dynamic.
I'm glad the momentum of the match keeps going, but said it's the best looking wrestling game, and he just did like a jump off of the ground.
That we put as a priority was making sure the game is fun in a pick up and play kind of way. I want to be able to hand the controller to my friend who doesn't know anything about WWE, and I want them to still be able to have a good time and be able to just kind of hop in with me. So we made sure that with our controls redesign, all of the core actions are something you can discover just by button mashing. You should be able to basically play through a match without having known anything beforehand. But another big priority for us is making sure we're not smoothing over a lot of the details that returning fans like. So all of the high level of control that you expect to have with your character, all of the high degree of customization you expect, all of that still remains.
Okay, so you've mentioned new controls and mechanics. Combat itself is centered around 3 inputs: light attacks, heavy attacks, and grapples. So in this cycle specifically, what do those terms mean?
So light attacks, those are your quick strikes, the fastest attacks in the game. Heavy attacks, those are kind of like strong strikes from previous years. They're bigger, slower strikes, but they deal more damage. And then finally, grapples. Those are where some of the bigger changes come into play. So you press the grapple button once to lock up with your opponent, but then from there you can press light, you can press heavy. Those will do your light and heavy grapples, but there's all sorts of other options. Irish whips, drag, carry, all of those things come from the grapple state. So once you grapple your opponent, you have a lot of possibilities opened up to you.
Okay, and I want to toss this over to Jonathan too. So opening up these possibilities, can you talk about some of the combo options that players can dive into?
Yeah, sure.
If I look like I'm absolutely tired as fuck, it's because it's 1:15 in the morning. I'm going to have to edit this before I go to bed. So enjoy.
Cute combos. Light attacks allow me to branch into a combo, and when I learn that light, heavy grab executes that move, I can take that and apply it to anybody I play with. I love the exploration.
Can't believe these people that are doing these interviews that's going to go up on YouTube and be seen by millions of people can't be bothered getting a decent audio setup at their house.
I'm personally really excited to see.
Listen to this guy talk through his shitty mic. I can barely even hear what he's saying.
Okay, very quickly, I want to take it back to one point that Derek touched on earlier, which was about the accessibility of this game and being able to just pick it up and play. And I want to call this out mainly because I myself am a much newer player to WWE 2K. So for me, picking up and playing has been the whole experience. The controls are super easy to learn. And while my own habits fall back.
So it's going to be tapping the whole time to kick out? A little bit of carpal tunnel in my wrist a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if I'm going to like that.
Game, especially when it comes to the timing of things like reversals or finishers. So I can definitely attest to, hey, if you're feeling intimidated by this, please don't. Pick it up, try it out. You'll have such a blast.
I am seeing a lot of animations from previous games. A lot of this, like, as far as the movements go, looks the same as in the past.
Of their experience.
So a lot of the strategy for our game comes with the new defensive options that we've added this year. So one of the biggest examples is breakers. Instead of reversals being the only tool for countering your opponent's attacks, grapples and combos actually don't use reversals. Instead, you counter them with a breaker. So when you're doing a grapple or a combo on your opponent, they can counter that attack by pressing the same light, heavy, or grapple input against you. So those moves are countered with breakers. Everything else is countered with a reversal. So knowing what kind of attack you expect your opponent to perform can already prime you to know how you want to counter it. So there's already a mind game at that level.
So how's that going to work towards the end when they're trying to hit
the reversal button, you enter a blocking stance, and that lets you withstand light, heavy, and running attacks. And then you can counterattack faster than your opponent can after blocking. You can also dodge with the right bumper. So you can kind of choose a direction and get out of the way really quickly if you time your dodge correctly, but it's higher risk than a block. And then when you're on the ground, you also can button mash to get up faster, or you can press right bumper to do a quick get up at the cost of some resource. So when you have all of those defensive options available to you, it makes when you're on defense, it's a lot more strategic, but also when you're on offense, you have to be careful with how you want to attack your opponent so that they don't counter you.
So they've beefed up the Miyagi-Do aspect of the game. Is that what I'm getting from this?
Guessing like what, these little glowing meters mean and all this stuff. Jonathan, I'm going to let you be the first to break this down and break the news.
All right, Jonathan.
And let's dive into the HUD and give the community some clarity here.
So our goal was to create a HUD that strips down all unnecessary aspects and simply gives the user the information that they need without distracting the user from the in-game action. So at the very top, you'll have the vitality meter, and this is basically your health bar. Below that, you'll find a special meter, which is a resource you want to spend to perform signatures, paybacks, or defensive act.
Like OMG moments and stuff?
Where you can store up to 3 stocks.
Okay, I like that. That sounds
one thing that's
logical.
missing that I think a lot of people are like, where's the reverse stock? Can you talk a little bit more about the changes we made there?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, obviously the biggest change that we made was removing the reversal stock from the HUD. We felt that 2K20's matches came down to how the users manage their reversal stock. We wanted to bring a bit more skill to a match by giving the users unlimited reversals, but making them a little bit more
just me, or does that
in our internal matches
looked really slow?
We get wild swings and back and forth and a bunch of so close moments that we really feel make the match memorable. And in addition to that, we added a new stun meter that shows up on the characters when it's close to being filled. So we're really excited to show off our new HUD and for our users to play with all of the new additions.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that a lot of these animations are the same as in previous years. I feel like they've had a lot of time. They should have mapped all of these animations.
Once you basically knew once your opponent didn't have any reversal stock, all you had to do was hit your Sega finisher, match was over. That's not the case anymore, right? Like someone can just pull out like a reversal and this back and forth. And so Derek, can you talk about how strategy is incorporated into that part of this new mechanic?
Yeah, so with reversals no longer being on a limit, that opens up a lot of possibilities for how your opponent can counter you, right? Like they could always pull a reversal out, or if you're using combos and grapples, they could hit you with a breaker. But the stun meter that Jonathan mentioned earlier, that's one of your biggest tools for making sure that you can pull off your biggest moves without getting countered. So lighter attacks, while they don't do as much damage to the vitality of the opponent, they're better at filling your opponent's stun. And if you can get their stun meter filled, that's your opportunity to perform an attack without the risk of getting a reversal or a breaker.
Button mashing is back, y'all. Like, I love it. It creates a whole new level of like intensity in those tight matches. And I got to practice my finger strength on that just so I can beat everyone down when this game goes online.
It looks pretty good though. Wow, that was a slow count.
But unfortunately, we're out of time. So to close out, now that we're nearing the end of production, what are y'all looking forward to most for the game, whether for your own experience or with players specifically? Let's start with Jason, then Derek, then Jonathan.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how My Rise turns out. We've been working so hard on gameplay that haven't really been able to look at the rest of the game. Those guys have been really working to deliver an awesome story this year. And from everything I've seen, they're ready to deliver.
You two, get in the ring.
For me, it's the backstage. The
Beth
completely redesigned backstage. I think people have only seen a
Michaels.
small peek of. There's a lot of really cool stuff going back there, especially with the verticality.
And for me, I'm super excited to see Rey Mysterio in our showcase mode, playing some classic matches that were recreated for WWE 2K22. So I think people are going to be really excited about that.
Yeah,
awesome.
That looks fantastic.
Well, again, thank you so much for joining us for the first.
Yeah, better get rid of that WrestleMania footage, 2K, otherwise WWE will copyright your ass.
report. Thank you to Jason Vandiver, Derek Donahue, and Jonathan Rivera for joining us.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh my God.
Was I supposed to?
You committed to the bid.
Leave?
No, I think that was...
Okay, so once again, for real this time, thank you to Jason.
What is with these weird,
for joining us.
like,
And thank you to all of you.
super relatable edits and shit? This is so strange.
We're so excited to release this game, and we can't wait for y'all to get your hands on it.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. And thank you all for tuning in. We will talk to you all soon. And in the meantime, check us out on social media at WWE Games.
Okay, bye.
Peace.
Alright, is that everything? So that was an interesting video. I don't know what it is. Are they trying too hard to be like cool? Is that why that whole... I don't know, the whole exchange that anytime I hear these developers on there, it's like they're really trying to like appeal to like a younger audience, just with the words they use and the silliness of the whole thing. So I don't know, to me it hits weird because it hits different, but it hits weird because I don't know, it's probably just marketing. That must be all it is, but I liked what the guys had to say on here. I wish they had better audio quality. The whole thing seemed, I don't know, I'm so critical of it. I'm not sure why I'm not buying into it yet. Some of the game models we saw in this looked great. Some of them didn't look so good. It's still a mixed bag. There are things that I'm really looking forward to, I'm really excited for about this game, and then there's other stuff that I'm still a bit worried about, and I think like, like this has got me a bit worried. So I'm still very keen to obviously get the game. I will be getting it early access because of the time zone. I think I get it a little bit before the US does. So, if you want to see what GM mode's like right at the first minute that you can, subscribe here because I'll be live streaming it on this channel. We didn't learn a great deal about the game modes. That was more about the gameplay. We learned about the HUD. We saw some great clips that looked particularly impressive. There was a bit with a sign that looked fantastic. I don't think we got to see a championship, which people have been raving, saying that the championships look great this year. It is a fantastic looking game from what I see. It doesn't look like it's a consistent looking game, and that can be... It's not a huge issue, but it kind of shows how much attention they've put to it. And it still feels a little bit like they haven't done it justice just from what we're seeing. But that's my opinion anyway. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. What did you think about the gameplay? I think it looks like it'll be much more competitive kind of gameplay. It won't be something where any one person... You can probably get good at mastering it, but it won't be a case where there'll be people that will definitely be able to just destroy you every single time. Maybe there will be, maybe there's going to be exploits that they haven't thought about. The gaming community is fantastic at finding ways to cheat at video games or hacks or repetitive actions and stuff like that. So I hope they've thought that through as well, especially if they're going to be having, more of an online focus with the My Faction as well. So, again, let me know what you think in the comments. Interested to hear what you guys have to say. And as always, everyone, be well, stay safe, look after your friends. I'm going the hell to bed after I edit this. See you in the next video. Peace.
Put up the honka meter!